Okay, you are all set.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Virginia Harger, Chairperson of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is Tuesday, July 12th, 2022, when the regular meeting of the commission being conducted entirely via Zoom and through a phone link is hereby called to order at 6:02 p.m. The meeting is also being carried live on YouTube. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'll start off with a roll call. Please verbally indicate you're present when your name is called. Commissioner Kelly is going to be joining us in a little bit. Commissioner Parkins.
Present.
Commissioner Laskos.
Present.
Commissioner Tiki. Commissioner Motto.
Here.
Okay. Myself, Commissioner Harger. Mr. Rossetti, our administrator.
Present.
Mr. Nappy, our downtown development coordinator, is excused. Mr. Panico, our consultant. Tony, are you with us?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can't hear me?
Now we can. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Clear. Attorney Teodoso, our corporation counsel.
I am here.
Thank you. Ms. Vernassos, our recording secretary.
Present.
Okay. And for the record, Commissioners Onofrio and Usal indicated they would not be available for this evening's meeting. A couple points before we continue with the agenda. Mr. Rossetti will act as the Zoom meeting host. While commissioners are able to make comments throughout the meeting, the chair that asks that you please identify yourself and wait to be recognized before speaking to make sure we're not all speaking over each other and to make sure our recording secretary is clear as to who is speaking. Our first agenda item category is a legal update from Corporation Counsel. Is there a motion for the commission and staff to go into executive session?
Commissioner Parkins will make that motion.
Okay, is there a second to the motion to go into executive session with
I'll
staff?
second it, Commissioner Laskos.
Thank you, Commissioner Lasko. So on the motion from Commissioner Parkins, seconded by Commissioner Lasko, so do a roll call vote. Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Commissioner Kelly is still not with us, so motion has passed though 5-0. So the commission is going to be logging off, going into recess for an executive session, and then we will be back at some point. So everyone has the second login.
So we leave this meeting, correct?
This, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See you on the other side.
We hope. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're all back. Alex, we're live on YouTube as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the commission is reconvening. And is there a motion for the commission to reconvene and confirmation that no votes were taken during the executive session? And that is at reconvening at 6:56 PM.
Commissioner Parkins will make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Parkins. Is there a second?
Commissioner Kelly will second.
All right, so on the motion from Commissioner Parkins, seconded by Commissioner Kelly to reconvene and with the notation that there are no votes taken during the executive session, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Lascos,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. All right, so we're back in session. We are moving on to old business. And as I have the ability to take things out of order, we're going to jump to old business item D, application 2216, Dominic Thomas for Prestige Builders LLC at 390 to 402 Long Hill Avenue, Assessors Map 78, lots 11 to 14, on 13.3 acres for a subdivision in an R2 zone for 9 building lots and 6.2 acres for open space. This application was accepted for review at our June 14th meeting. And after the discussion, the consensus of the commission was that a public hearing was not required for this application. Mr. Rossetti, are there people in the waiting room for this application?
Yep, I'm letting him in.
Okay. Okay, anybody else, Mr. Rossetti, that needs to be promoted as a panelist?
I don't think so. AJ, Dominic, anyone else need to get?
Anybody
be.
else? So raise your hand.
Oh, here's Al Shepherd. Sorry, here we go.
Okay. All right, so Alan's coming on. Mr. Rossetti, any letters or materials not posted to the city's website that we need to acknowledge?
I think everything got up there. Let me just double check. There was a report from the city engineer that I know the applicant will speak to tonight. Let me just see.
Was there
And
something,
yep, that was up there. So everything's up there.
and was there something from the Conservation Commission?
They sent us minutes today, so those were not online, but they will be uploaded soon.
Okay,
Their comments, I can bring those up later once I pull them up, but that's a good point.
okay. So Attorney Thomas, you're representing the applicant? Want
Yes.
Self and proceed.
Okay, thank you. Very briefly, for me, with respect to the Conservation Commission, I do think the commission could take judicial notice that when we did the zone text change, the Conservation Commission, I believe, and the Land Trust both expressed their support, one in writing and one through the testimony of the change, and they were looking at the draft concept subdivision. There was also a letter, I think it's up on the website, from, I believe, from John Cook, that there are no regulated areas that needed to be addressed in wetlands. And there is a set of, I believe, a revised set of plans to address, and a letter to address all the engineering comments which were filed today. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to the project engineer, Alan Shepard, and he could run through the plans.
Attorney Thomas, did I hear you right that there is an updated set
Well,
of plans?
I'll let Alan Shepard address it. I will state for the record that because of an issue, I don't have the ability to screen share. So
Okay.
hopefully, if this plans need to be screen shared,
I have it.
hopefully Alex can. Yes, that there was an email today. We received the engineering report the end of last week, Thursday, I believe it was. And so I disseminated it to AJ and Alan, and Alan responded today, and I'll turn it over to Alan to address the issues.
But the engineering report you're referring to, that's something from the city engineer.
City engineer,
Okay,
correct.
all right. So the updates are the response to that.
To the city engineer's
Yes.
report.
Got
And
it.
there's both a written letter responding to it and plans with all the necessary adjustments. But I'll let Alan explain that.
All right, so the plans that we should be working off of that would have some changes to them are dated May 19th, 2022, I believe. Those are the ones. that are online.
Again, I'm going to leave it up to, as I always remind people, it says JD after my name, not PEs.
Thank you, Attorney Thomas. Okay, Mr. Shepherd.
Sure. So just to review the subdivision comments from the engineering has nothing substantial as far as the lot line changes, anything changes on the map. He wanted more details to the plan, notes added to the plans, generally kind of boring stuff. So there was no lot line changes, no road changes, no changes at all, except for additional details that, you know, it helps to put on the plan. So there's no confusion when they build the sidewalks and the catch basins and everything.
Right. But
So,
is someone going to start from the beginning? We got to consider this as this is
sure,
before us the first time.
I think that's probably going to be helpful, and I'll go through that. And John Cook just wanted a couple notes on the plan, which we put on the plan, so that was pretty straightforward too.
Okay,
And I'll go through my response letter, just should explain it. The town engineer wanted some landscaping plans for detention
but
areas.
Mr. Shepherd, before you go any further, let's start off with an overview of this whole project.
Oh, okay, sure,
Yeah.
sure. Basically, this is a project that we asked for a zone change to go to R2 zoning because it seemed to make sense, and it also gave opportunity for a large half the property to be given for open space, which made a lot of sense. It's coming off a long hill. The road, you know, we call that Gamble Place. So we're going to put in, there's 9 lots, but there's 2 houses that are existing. So really, it's only 7 new additional building lots, straightforward road, not very complex. You know, there's, as you can see from the plan, there's 2 existing two houses. Lot number 2 will probably knock down and rebuild. It's kind of dated and old. Lot number 9 is perfect. That'll stay fine. So, basically, the layout is a dead end cul-de-sac, and giving a lot of half the property away for open space.
What was that last section?
About half the property for open space,
Right,
which you don't see on this map. It's on other.
The,
maps.
yeah,
Right.
the subdivision map is two sheets.
There's
Mhm.
2 sheets. So I just want to mention there's another sheet of open space. There you go. So we got a large piece of open space all the way down to Constitution Boulevard. That we don't, because of the zone change, we don't need to go down there. I think it's the best for all worlds. And it's in between other open space, so, and the church, so it makes sense to give the 6.2 acres.
Mhm. Is that going to be conveyed to the city or to?
To
Shelton?
whoever they want it to.
Okay,
Yeah, we have no, whatever the city,
you have no preference. Okay,
no preference.
all right. Could you address this, that's up on the screen about the Conservation Commission wanting a split rail fence along the boundary between lots 6 and the new open space, so that lot 6 is all the way down?
We're fine with that. There's a pretty good slope and there's no reason to go past that slope. I picked that lot line for a reason, but we have no problem with putting a split rail fence there.
So that's the last lot on the right.
Last lot.
Mhm.
And if you take a look at lot 6, I drew the property line along the wetland line, so there's no reason to go past that line. That's a
Mhm.
total slope. But a little split rail fence there, I don't think we have any problem doing that.
Who has to maintain that?
If John lets you put the split rail fence in the wetland,
Yeah, I think he'd be okay with that. And even if we put it this side, it's this side of the property line, I don't think that'd be any problem. If we put it on lot number 6, it actually would be lot number 6 fence. But I doubt if, they'd maintain it per se, but at least you get them going for a while.
They, meaning the property owner? at
Property
lot
owner.
6?
Yeah, it's more to designate the area. I think it's pretty well defined out there in the field, but it doesn't hurt, but it establishes the property line so no one can say, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, but there are, I don't know if there's something that's a little bit more permanent or something, so we don't run the risk in the future where this is a piece
we'll
of
put more-
property that
The-
is secluded and
We'll
all
put
of
the
a
Shelton,
sudden. Hmm,
we'll put the Shelton markers up too.
hmm,
They have markers we'll put on the trees.
Okay,
Well, somehow it should be deeded that that fence belongs to the city of Shelton so that they don't think it's their fence and they can take it down and encroach.
yeah, that's what my whole point was, the encroachment like has happened before.
Right.
Usually there are markers, as pointed out, that can be put on the fence to indicate that on the other side of the fence is the open space. It would be a decision on the part of whatever, the Conservation Commission, well, they don't make decisions, they recommend, or
Yeah.
the town as to whether or not the fence is to be installed on the open space, which would then make it the responsibility of the town to maintain and ensure, or put it on the side of the property owner, which would then obligate the property owner to maintain it. And then there would be the placards could be right on the split rail fence with the appropriate instruction that the split rail fence is the borderline with the City of Shelton open space.
Is there a formal inspection program that exists that things like this get checked every so often?
That would be a question for the Conservation Commission.
Right, so,
Who owns the other space, the open space that this is abutting?
I believe the Shelton land, if Alex can go to the open space map, I believe it shows it as the,
You can just the end of that map
It's,
showed
yeah,
it.
it's the Shelton, I believe it's the Shelton Land Conservation Trust.
So if the city deeds it to them, then they would become responsible for the fence.
Correct.
Mhm.
Right. The other, one side is St. Margaret Mary, the other side is the Shelton Land Conservation Trust, which
Okay.
is the open space that was required for the PRD along Sylvan Avenue.
Right.
It would kind of make sense that it would be deeded over to them.
Uh-huh.
There's no
They are
no
one of
guarantee
the-
the city will accept it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's the city's choice, but
So
Right.
give me
But they are, of course, under your subdivision regulations and under statutes, one of the entities that can receive open space as required for a
Okay.
subdivision.
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think we should put the responsibility of the fence onto the owner of the property, to be honest with you.
No.
True, I agree.
Can we look at the subdivision map? Al, is there any reason why you shouldn't change the location of that rear property line to sort of parallel the wetland line? So that the wetlands are all within the protected area?
No, I guess I just picked that spot because it's at the toe of the hill. But
Yeah.
there's
But
no
if
reason.
you change that line so that it follows the wetland line, so to speak, it could be a straight line, then the fence on the line is not a problem.
Could you point that out, please, on the map, what Mr.
Yeah,
Panico is
just-
referring to?
From there.
He's talking about the rear lot line for lot number 6. I went into the wetlands a little bit for the rear lot line. But it basically mimics the wetland line. What he's saying is just pull it off a foot or so off the wetland line.
Right.
So that, yeah, that area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and while we're talking about lines, can I make a couple of other comments?
Go ahead, Tone.
The way, I haven't spent a lot of time with this yet, but two things that really jumped out at me. Number one, the space between your cul-de-sac and the nearby piece of road is beyond the right of way of the road. It's in some kind of private ownership, and it would appear to be a blocking strip for those two adjacent properties. I think the right of way line of the road ought to be brought to the property line and follow the property line. Because you got this other triangular piece also,
Mm,
which looks like a blocking strip for that Rose property.
Mm-hmm.
That's one issue. The other issue I had, it seems rather obvious. You've got a stone wall paralleling this road, and yet you didn't put the right-of-way line of the road on the stone wall. So I think what you need to do is perhaps just make the right-of-way of Gamble Place a little bit oversized there and move that line to the stone wall.
I think with the grading and everything, if you take a look at the grading plan, I can more likely to maintain that stone wall where I have the road right now.
I'm not saying move the road out, leave the road where it is, just make it a larger right of way. Just put the northerly,
Oh.
I guess it's the northerly street line on the stone wall. I believe Conservation Commission expressed some concern about protecting that stone wall also.
Yeah, they did.
So rather than having to go through creating a conservation easement to protect the wall, if the property line is on the wall, then the wall belongs to the city as much as the property owner.
Could I point out that lot number 9, I need that setback for the street line for the garage?
Is that a problem?
Yeah, I think so.
Can we shift the map over to see that?
So if you take a look at the garage setback, I got it pretty tight to the street line there. 'Cause
Is
that's
40 foot the required street line in that zone?
Lot 9.
I mean,
40
40 feet
yeah.
is a required street setback?
Yeah. So that's kind of, and I moved it over, but also the grading allows me to, I you know.
Is there
not
a
a bad
change?
wall.
Is there a change of grade along that wall?
When I come in, and when I come in off of Long Hill, there's some, not much, but enough that I think if I tried to force it right up against the stone wall, you know,
I wasn't suggesting, Al, that you change the construction of the road. You can leave the
Just
road
take the
exactly
right of
where
way,
you've
yeah.
designed it. Just draw the
Yeah,
right-of-way line over at the stone wall. Make it
Yeah,
an
we could-
oversized right-of-way.
we could do that for lot number 8, and lot
Yeah.
number 7.
Either that or
Lot number 9, I would-
or we sponsor you for a variance from the ZBA.
I think AJ has time considerations with people trying to get in with mortgages and stuff. so-
There's also a provision, I think, Al, isn't there a provision in the zoning regulations that says when you have a lot on the corner of 2 streets, that the street setback only applies on one side?
That's for the smaller zone, so
Pardon?
not for this zone. That's for the smaller zone, not for the zone.
Oh, I think it applies anywhere. I'm just pulling off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look it up.
Tony, does
Yeah.
that make the city responsible for the maintenance of that stone wall, though?
Well, it protects the wall so that
Yeah,
the
I mean-
property owner
Protects it,
can't
but-
take it down.
I mean, the other option is to, and I haven't discussed this with the applicant, but the other option is to place a condition that the stone walls shall be maintained. It's a requirement of the property owner to maintain the stone walls.
Well,
And
then
that could be a condition in the deed.
You have to
And-
put some
and
I
kind
like
of,
that better.
Yeah,
And then
I
with
agree.
respect to moving the road line, I don't think the client wants to, I understand what you're saying, Tony, about those little pieces of property, but the client would rather keep the road line not on somebody else's property and would rather leave it, leave the lines the way they are. There is a point where it goes across it but would rather leave the area and the property. I mean, the whole point is we're not doing this to give access to other properties to the road or anything like that.
well, then protect it with an easement.
Excuse me, can I make a point? This is AJ Grasso, the applicant. Live at 14 Red Tail Court in Shelton. The access, I don't see a need to, both of those pieces of property, Tony Panico, that you're talking about, the one beyond lot number 7 and the one adjacent to lot number 6, they
Right.
both have legal access on Donovan.
Well, I'm just telling you right now, we have specific requirements in the subdivision regulations that say you don't create blocking strips. And that has every impression of being a blocking strip.
Well, it's not a blocking strip because they have access on Donovan.
Of course, it's a blocking strip to the back of that
strike-
property.
A spike strip, yeah, well, they both have access on Donovan.
All right, you want to defend it legally, Dominic, go ahead.
Okay.
So those little triangular pieces at the top of the cul-de-sac, where it says that abuts the property for Rose and Shangate, that's the area that you're talking about, Mr. Panico?
Talking about from the end of lot 7
Yeah,
to past the turnaround.
yeah.
That area has in effect a blocking strip.
And that's, the blocking strip means that the Rose property,
That those properties have no right to access that road.
right. Well, you won't, I can't imagine you would want them to be able to access it.
I would think you would also. Not only that, but sometime in the future, that Sconjay property is probably going to look for some kind of development and possibly the church property, which begins right on the corner. And do you want to say that they should not be accessible to this road? Maybe you do. I don't know. If you do, then fine. I'm just pointing it out.
Can we see more of the Shangay property?
I think it's a long
other
property
way.
that goes all the way over to the road up to the church.
It down.
Move it down.
Yeah.
The other
Go
way.
the other way.
The
It
map
doesn't-
doesn't go that far.
It won't show on this map, right?
But the Rose and Shangay properties have access from Donovan Lane.
There you go.
Yeah, there's Shangay is access onto Donovan Lane.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's obviously bigger than one lot. I mean, it's an oversized, it's a large piece of property.
What,
So
click back on that.
they could divide it and then they wouldn't have access to a road? Is that what you're getting at?
Alex,
No,
click
I'm-
on
I'm
that.
It's been a principle of planning
1.63.
that when you lay out a subdivision, you don't create blocking strips to abutting properties.
Yeah.
And that's what we would be doing here with the map, the way it's currently designed.
Mhm.
They have the acreage to split that lot in half if they could have access to the new road.
Right.
You're right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if they don't have access to the new road, they can't split that property because they'd have no access.
Right.
That's right.
Which is why,
I
They
don't.
they don't have,
They don't have the acreage.
yeah, they don't have the acreage, and there are some other challenges associated there. So
Well,
that
if you were successful in getting the zone change to that property line, I'm not sure it would be too difficult to extend that zone into that property, and then you have more than one lot.
correct.
Well,
Exactly.
that property was part of the zone change and was rejected.
I know,
Along with-
because they felt that it was gerrymandered at the time. But
Okay.
maybe it's consistent with an overall rethinking of that area. Personally, I
agree.
thought it should have been included.
I agree, Tony.
So would the developer have any issues if at some point in the future, there was a zone change and this particular Shangay lot was able to be split with it having access to Gamble Place? Is there?
It's a very simple thing to resolve. All you need to do, if we can get back to the subdivision map,
Mhm.
all that AJ needs to do is whatever land is left between the future street line and the back line of Rose, convey it to Rose. And
Yeah.
the same way on the next piece, draw a line and convey whatever intervening space there is to the property owner.
Has
Then,
that
then,
ever
you,
been
then
done?
you've eliminated any possible accusation of having blocking strips.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't give either one of, well, that doesn't give Shangay or, I don't know if it gives Rose legal front, wouldn't give legal frontage on the street anyway. Rose it might, but I don't know if they have, if they're in an interior lot to begin with. And I don't know that, I don't know that either one of them become a lot with frontage because they don't.
I'm not looking to create development potential for them. I'm just simply fulfilling a principle of subdivision design that you do not create blocking strips. Blocking
Right.
strips are from years ago. They were spike strips. We don't
Right,
get
but,
spike strips anymore.
right. There's a couple of things. These are not, spike strips prevent a property from having access to a right of way. The Rose property is an interior lot. If you give them frontage and they want to all of a sudden change and put a driveway, then you're destroying a stone wall, because that's the only way they could do it, is get rid of the stone wall that they have on their property, which is the continuation of the other stone wall. The same thing, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, I'll defer to Alan. Then along the Shangay property, you have the stone wall on there. So if you're going to, again, where they don't need it or anything, and if they're doing it, that you're now giving them the opportunity to cut a driveway in and take down the stone wall.
Well,
which
you're
goes
doing that
on-
up above as well. You're doing that to other properties.
We're arguing circles for nothing.
yeah, I don't see
Well,
what
Absolutely
is the big
nothing.
problem paying that
Well,
little bit of property?
well,
What's the problem?
One thing in regards to, let's start with the Rose piece. That would allow them to put a driveway off a new road that we created, which could impact, the property owners on the new road.
But is it going to be a public road, AJ?
Yes.
Then they should have rights to it.
How high are those stone
In other
walls?
words, AJ, it is a spike strip.
Well, no, I just don't,
Well,
they have a driveway to the house now. I
Yeah,
don't,
but 100 years from now, somebody might have a different idea. They might want to have a different house there, and they might want access to this particular road rather than the other way to go in.
exactly. And they would look back and say, how come that planning commission left the spike strip there? It just does
I
not
don't see
make
why this is
sense.
such a big issue. I don't see
It
why
isn't.
you can't just do this.
It's
I'm
not a
sorry.
big issue.
It's because those stone walls that are there.
Yeah, but there's stone walls up above as well.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
know.
going to do anything to the stone wall. It's talking about how you draw lines. That's all it is.
But are these stone walls such a historical significance that to remove them at some point in the future would be just
For a driveway.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
You would think most people would want to keep a stone wall. It's the developers that tend to take them down unless they're told not to.
Mm-hmm.
I think the stone wall is a different issue
Yeah.
on this to begin with. I'm not sure what the answer is on regards to, I mean, the garage, I believe, for that house faces Donovan, or it might be parallel. I'm not sure if it's perpendicular to that property line or not. So I don't know what the answer to that. Maybe Dominic, I don't know what the,
Why are we getting hung up by the existing condition? Who knows what the condition is going to be like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? As someone just said a little while ago, somebody may decide they want to tear down the house and build a brand new house and they want it to face your new road.
Mm-hmm.
Are we saying we don't want that?
We should.
Because if you are, then move the road away from the property line.
Okay.
I guess I'm not saying that.
I didn't think you were.
Well, I for one, don't want a new driveway going into that existing house off of that street.
Why?
Why? Because between the land purchase and the street, it's $1,200,000. Now somebody can just decide that, geez, it'd be nice to be on on a wider street. I did nothing for it. No, they did nothing for it, and now they get a benefit.
You still gotta put the road in anyhow, so.
No, I understand. I understand it. That's not my point. Is more of the well, I guess I see it a little bit differently than other people. I don't know what the Dominic, is there any problem? I mean, I don't know for sure that that's what they would do. I just
Does that stone wall stop, or is it just because? Right.
the stone wall has less to do with it, I think, really, than because the reality is they can go to the left of that stone wall, so we're looking at the plan. If they
Yeah.
want to put a driveway in,
Right.
if that now connects. Dominic, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the position that Tony is putting forth, and AJ's position is not giving these people access to the other road when they in fact have access. Both lots, the Rose property, there are two lots, an interior lot and there's a front lot. Both of them have access onto Donovan. So I don't treat it as a spike strip because they have access. Spike strips are where somebody does not have access and you're depriving them of that access. Under current zoning, I will admit, under current zoning, Shongad can't have a rear lot and he has the house up front and he doesn't have enough to qualify for the rear lot. I understand that he could possibly have a zone change. I think the other thing, if you're going to, and I'm not sure the topography and everything like that, but if you're going to have the potential for curb cuts, I think that would also have to be, these properties adding curb cuts or driveways off of it by having it touch, then that needs to also be looked at by the not looked at by the city engineer, but obviously they would have to go to the city to get permission to have curb cuts.
Mhm.
But I mean, again, AJ is, he's the property owner. He's laying out the road like this. I don't think that they are spite strips because there is access. And I don't think requiring him to do it would be an appropriate subdivision condition.
Okay,
Well,
that's,
I get that he's paying to build the road, but it's going to become a city road and the city's going to be maintaining it. So a resident on that road should be able to have access to it. That would be my thought.
mhm.
I agree completely with Ruth and with Tony.
Okay, well, I mean, again, if it's made a condition, the applicant will have to address it.
Okay, anybody else want to comment on that particular topic? Okay, if not, Attorney Thomas or Mr. Shepherd, do you want to move on? Was there something else?
Sure. Do you guys want me to go over the comments from the town engineer real
Yes.
fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, the first comment was he wanted landscaping details for the detention areas, which we provided for that. Both of the detention areas I got at a very mild grade. So they're not going to look like the typical riprap detention areas. You won't even know that what their purpose is when you drive by.
What lots are they by?
They're on lot number 1. You can see the drainage easement on that, and lot number 6.
Okay, got it. All right,
So it'll look good going by, is my point there. We've increased the pavement width to 30 feet. We're going to ask for a waiver to go to 26 feet. I don't know how the board feels about that, but we made it 30 because that's the reg right now. We may feel out the board and see how you feel about it, but it's
so what you're saying is the road width right now is planned for 30, but you would be asking for it to be reduced to 26?
if there's some concessions with the board, I think we would like that.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, you have the right, the requirement for pavement, which I think is completely excessive, but benefits the asphalt companies, is 30 feet. A lot of the towns have gone down to much lesser asphalt, less drainage issues. I don't think there's any issues here going it down to 26 feet. But I think in your regulation, subdivision regulations, I'm not sure the exact, it's towards the end, you have the right to grant waivers if a waiver is requested. The client does not want to delay the approval, but it is something, it can be discussed, and if you have no problem with it, then we can immediately submit the request for the waiver or submit it orally as part of this application.
Where would that,
Doesn't the road ordinance provide for 30 feet? Wouldn't they have to leave from the city? I agree with you. I think 30 feet is excessive for this
Right.
type of a layout. but-
Mhm.
I was looking at the subdivision regulations. I'm not sure if there's an ordinance that requires it. To be honest with you, I was looking at the subdivision regulations, which
Uh-huh.
specify the streets in the subdivision. And this
So-
type of residential street is a 50-foot right of way with a 30-foot pavement.
Mhm.
So if you're reducing the width of the road to 28 feet, where is that 2 feet width going to be taken up?
26 feet, right?
20, it would be 26.
26
So the
feet,
shoulders.
but it just helps with the road shoulder and the grading and the overall look of the project.
I understand that, but we approved, I think it was a subdivision around the police station, and
Yes.
we made it put in a 30-foot. And, I don't think it's fair if we say it's okay, it's 26 here. I mean, we gotta be
Compromised
consistent
in
on
other-
whatever we do.
In other areas, though. We
I-
have allowed. we
I
have allowed-
disagree with that. I think the wider roads, especially when, if you're doing it in a small subdivision where people are not going to be able to, have 12 people park in their driveway, so people are parking on the street, then a 30-foot might be needed. But this tends to be just the excess width makes people drive faster, in my experience.
No.
I live on a
That's a
26
different
foot
opinion.
wide street and it's fine.
Yours
I-
is what, Elaine?
I have my street's 26 feet wide. It's
Okay.
fine.
And Mr. Shepherd, what were you asking for reduction to 26 or 28?
26 feet.
Okay,
But like we said, it's up to the board. We'll go either way. I know there's plenty of discussion about it. I do believe, my opinion is when you have the 20,000 square foot lots, people can park in the driveway. When we're on the reduced lots, I like the 30 feet. But on these lot sizes of this half an acre and above, I like this narrower roads.
But the
But
four-
we'll go with whatever the town wants.
the 4 feet is not going to be added to any lot.
Correct. It's just a pavement width.
Oh,
Okay,
doesn't affect property lines.
Right.
Doesn't affect property line.
all right.
We were gonna ask for the reduced cul-de-sac, but I agree, it's a dead end cul-de-sac. We upped it back to the 50-foot radius. That's not a problem. Because it is a dead end street. You want a detail of a stop sign, that's not too exciting. And stop bar, we added that. With the handicap detail for the sidewalk, we added that. We want a new bituminous curve along Long Hill Avenue and sidewalks, and we agreed to that. So we just put a note on the plan for that.
Sidewalks along Long Hill Avenue
Yeah, there's one there, but it's kind of old, so he wanted new ones.
on this side of the street.
Yeah, our side of the street, along our frontage, so.
Well, there's a sidewalk across the street, isn't there?
No, I don't think so. not
I don't think there's
area.
one across the street. It's on
Oh,
our
it's on the
side.
way. It's
No,
further.
there's one further down in front of the Board of Ed property in the parking lot, Donovan Lane. So maybe
But
we-
it is the curb, because of paving over the years, the
Yes.
curb got buried over, if you will, so there's no proper curb there.
Okay,
So, we'll touch that up while we're there. Probably won't hurt anything.
is that sidewalk going to extend all the way to the area where lot 1 abuts the property owner that's on the next street?
Yes, I think along our frontage, we would do it along our,
All entire frontage, okay.
that's what you can ask for. I don't think, he'll accept less.
Okay,
So, he wanted 4 inches of bituminous instead of 3, so that's an upgrade. We changed the detail for that. He had a question about a telephone pole, and we'll check with UI about that. We added a note regarding that. He wanted more additional notes for the stub base material. And I can see the logic for that, because a lot of guys are making their own so-called process material. It's not up to state standards, so a little bit more notes and testing. I don't have a problem with that.
you're talking about the composition of what?
The gravel base.
Okay,
So the base that we put the roads on, you could get the good stuff from O&G or
Yeah.
Tilcon,
yep,
but a lot of guys have crushers now, so they think they're making gravel base and they're not.
yeah.
They're making something else, but it's
Yep.
it's not state based. So like I said, with a lot of these comments with Rimas, I agree with what he's saying. They're just
Yeah.
crossing the T's, dotting the I's.
Mhm.
They're
Are the
not-
utilities going to be underground?
Yes.
Okay.
He wanted to extend the under drain and to clearly note that, so I did. We have under drain on the road. Even though the soils were pretty good, I just felt the under drain would be good. We added for detail for the catch basin top. And we added for some more. He wanted all the lots to have the roof drains going to galleries. I did it in the back, but not in the front, because I have the detention area size for it. But it was just a couple more lots, so we'll do it to all the roofs. That's not a problem. And we added those galleries to all the lots. And if we do work in Long Hill Ave, we got to do an overlay on the road. That's pretty standard. We put a note on the plan for that. And we better be depicted the under drain. And there's one storm drain that I think I didn't have the diameter listed, so we listed that on the plan. And then notes that would have the soil erosion controls kept up. So those aren't very exciting things, but they're just nuts and bolts things. So nothing really changed in the plan except for adding details and notes that I think everybody would agree that would be good to have on the plan.
Mhm.
Not that this is our first rodeo by any sense. Us guys have been working at this for a while, but
Mhm.
we've always followed what the town has asked us to do.
Yep. So does any commissioner have any questions for Attorney Thomas, Mr. Shepherd, or Mr. Grasso?
Excuse me, can I make a point?
Sure, Mr. Grasso.
The couple things in regards to the lot sizes, the smallest lot we have here is a little over 24,000 square foot. We've got a lot that's over 34,000 square foot. It's a permanent dead end by giving away 6 acres of to conservation. You know, we're pretty much guaranteeing this is going to be a permanent dead end.
Mhm.
I would like to ask that we go to a 26-foot wide road if at all possible.
Mhm.
And also, if the commission is going to want me to bring those property lines adjacent to the road line, we will do that.
What was that last one again?
So you wanted to bring what Tony Panico was asking for.
The blocking strips?
We will eliminate that. We can bring it to the
Oh,
road line to the property line.
Okay.
So I guess, Al, what do you redraw? You'll redraw you'll increase. You're going to basically gift that to them. How do you accomplish that?
I would like to do it to give it to the town first, because I think, I'm not sure that the one property owner even wants it, so.
That's
I
not
would
the
rather-
point.
No, I know, but if we
I-
make it part of the road system, then there's not a deed problem there, you know?
We're not going to
So-
touch their deed, right? We're just going to.
Yeah,
We're just
I
going to
could do it either way.
You're going
I
to butt
could-
to their.
I could just make the right of way right up to their property line, is what I'm
That's a
saying.
good idea.
Okay. All right.
I think that's a fair concession.
I do too.
All right, any further questions, comments, or concerns? Any,
This is
go
Commissioner
those are great.
Laskos.
ahead, Commissioner Laskos.
Is there any concern with the Sylvan properties? I see on the map, there's sheds across your property line. There's cut grass. Does there need to be zoning enforcement on any of this? Looks like some people have taken some liberties.
They intruded. Yeah,
What's the proper way to handle that, Dominic?
Well, yeah, there are encroachments that people would have to be given notices, because certainly it's going to become an issue when you go to sell the property and have to execute something there. So if there are any, if the property has been surveyed and marked, then immediately notices should be given to the people who are encroaching that they are encroaching, and request that they remove the encroachment.
Isn't there a statute of limitations on that?
The
Adverse possession?
they could potentially claim adverse possession under certain circumstances if it's been there for 15 years.
So if they have a permit for the shed that was pulled 15 years ago, they don't have to move it.
Not
No,
necessarily.
For the
No,
shed,
no,
it
I
wouldn't be there.
no, if they have if they don't have a permit for the shed, that's a whole separate issue. But if they have put the shed down across the property line, and if they put the shed down across the property line, they still have to comply with certain other requirements to establish their claim of adverse possession. Okay,
And-
so, but yeah, they can make the claim of adverse possession. If they do, it can be handled in several ways. Most people want to, move the stuff onto their own property. If not, there could be a lot line adjustment or something like that. But the first step to do at this point is to put the people on notice that they are encroaching across the property.
Mhm.
Very well. The next comment I want to make is I'm in favor of the 26-foot wide road. I recall what Commissioner Kelly was talking about, and we had a 20-30 minute conversation on that. Just as long as the turning radius of the cul-de-sac meets the fire marshal's equipment turn. So just my comment on that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Commissioner
I
Lasko.
agree with that too. And as I said, I'm on a 26-foot road, wide road, and it's much longer than this proposed road, much longer, and
Mhm.
not a problem.
Okay. Since we're on that topic, what do the other commissioners feel about reduction to a 26-foot wide road?
This is
I'm
Commissioner
fine with it.
Dickey. Yeah, I'm fine with it as well.
Okay. Yeah, I could live with that for sure. Commissioner Kelly, you're the only one I didn't hear from.
I'm fine with it. It's just to a point we should be a little more consistent. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
First place.
All right. Is there anybody else that wants to address the commission or the applicant or on this? All right. So is there do we have a consensus as to whether or not we should direct staff to prepare a favorable resolution on this or not?
I would think so.
I think we would with those stipulations that we've been talking about.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Commissioner Morrow, Commissioner Laskos are in agreement. Commissioner Parkins.
Agreement.
Okay. Commissioner Ticky,
Agreement, yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Agreement.
Okay. All right. So staff.
I just would, and I know there are some issues that Mr. Shepherd, Alan Shepherd pointed it out. There are some issues actually at the present time. The applicant has actually individuals who are anxious to sign contracts and move forward. I know you probably would have to wait to you normally would wait to your August meeting, which is on August 9th. But if at all possible, since it's just a resolution, if you could see fit to add it on to whenever I know I think you're only having one July special meeting, but if you could just add the reading of the resolution and the voting on it to the July meeting, it might be helpful for.
We're going to have to confer with staff as to what we have penciled in for things for upcoming.
Subdivisions, that's a relatively simple decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may take the place of one of your other projects, Dominic.
I think Alex has a standard form.
It's obviously going to, but no, it's really a 10-minute item. So that's all I was saying,
Well, we do have to give Mr. Panico time for to develop the resolution. So keep that in mind, and staff will get back to the applicant as to when this can be. We understand the urgency having to do with paperwork for the mortgages and all that. So, all right, so it's a consensus of the commission for staff to prepare a favorable resolution. And the meeting where it would be actually voted on will be indicated to the applicant by staff. So, all right, before we move on, anything else that we need to talk about with Gamble Place, Long Hill Avenue? Okay. Attorney Titoso, you're on mute. Were you trying to say something?
Yeah, if you noticed, I had stayed for this subdivision application. And I just wanted to point out to the commission that if you take a look at the bird's eye view of this area, whether you use a drone or an aerial flyover, the exception has pretty much gobbled up the rule here. You've got a situation where the commission down the road should consider changing this area from an R1 to an R2, in my opinion, because every lot there seems almost to be an R2 type situation. I don't think it should be done as part of this subdivision. In fact, it can't be, But it is something that I think the commission should consider. And I would be glad to scope out the area that should in fact be changed. I think it should go all the way down to Constitution Boulevard, because you have a situation twice now where you're approving lots down in size in an R1 zone. So you're treating it as an R2 zone for practicality purposes. You might as well have the rule be R2 rather than the exception be R2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could see how that would be a logical approach. So,
So we'd have to reinstitute a planning and zoning would have to hold a public hearing for that zone change.
Planning and zoning does that, but planning and zoning does not have to notify the public. Planning and zoning goes forward and does it as a change in the regulations. The law assumes that planning and zoning is doing things in the best interests of the city.
mm-hmm.
So a public hearing's not required.
Well, the public hearing is required, but you don't need the notice.
Oh, okay.
The last word you said was you don't need the notice?
Correct.
Don't
You don't
need-
need to notify the neighborhood.
Oh,
I think it'd be
okay.
nice, but
All right. All right. Okay. All right. I think that now that we're done with application 2216. So let's go back to old business, item A. Application 21-30, Russo and Rizzo LLC for 79 Platt Road. LLC at 79 Platt Road, Assessors Map 77, Lot 20 on 1.96 acres in an IA2 zone for a special exception for 3 buildings with 1 building in front for a limited retail use connected with a contractor's business and 2 buildings in the rear for a private contractor storage and equipment bays. Just to remind everyone, this
Hey.
item was accepted for review on January,
No, I'm good. I'm all right.
January.
Alan,
11th.
you need to
Alan,
mute.
He did. This item was accepted for review on January 11th, 2022, and the public hearing opened and closed on April 27th of this year. At our May 10th meeting, the commission discussed and came to a consensus that the OPD zone was not suitable, and staff was directed to prepare a favorable resolution. So, Mr. Rossetti, do you have that for us?
I do. I'm just pulling it up.
Did you email that to each individual commissioner?
Yes.
Right. So
Is that today?
exit, if you
There
exit
was-
full screen and go into your inbox.
Yeah.
He's got it up on the screen though, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, I'll go back to the screen. Whoops. Okay, you want to read it? You want Commissioner Amato to read it? How do you want to do this?
Oh. I gotta find.
I
Get some
can
more water.
read it.
Mr. Rossetti?
As the chairman mentioned, this is for application 2130 for a special exception application for a limited retail use and indoor storage facility on 1.96 acres. The property was rezoned from OPD to IA2 effective June 24th, 2022 for this purpose. As you'll likely remember, the commission split up these 2 applications to address the zone change first and then move forward with the special exception application. We received updated elevations from the applicant regarding the 2 dormers to reflect the same side of the buildings, and everyone had been okay with the site plan and rear areas of the site plan. So we have received those updates, and of course, when the applicant comes in for permits, they'll need to go through the engineering, wetland, zoning, building departments for the necessary permits. The commission has heard and completed the hearings for this application on April 27th, 2022. The subject site has been underutilized, and this proposal satisfies a facility in high demand and is consistent with the plan of conservation and development. The site plans and architectural plans are satisfactory, and the special exception would be compatible with the adjacent development. So if there's a commissioner who would like to move or to approve or deny the special exception application, for PMZ application number 2130 on plans entitled 79 Platte Road, prepared by NOK Engineering and John Ruffalo Architect, dated November 9th, 2021, with the following conditions. A bond must be determined in amount to be determined by the city engineer and accepted by the commission and surety by corporation counsel prior to sign off on the record Mylar maps. The approval shall be null and void if the applicant fails to adhere to all conditions of the approved endorsement by the commission within a year. The approval shall be null and void if the construction and site improvements are not completed within 5 years of the date. Revisions and modifications are subject to the city department's review and may require action by the commission. Failure to notify the staff may result in a stop work order or other sanctions. The planning and zoning admin or city engineer must be notified 48 hours in advance prior to start of construction. 3 copies of the revised site plan must be filed with our office prior to a certificate of zoning compliance being issued. No final COC will be issued until such time as all site work is completed or bond for the remaining work is submitted to the city. All retail uses and signs will be approved by staff and or the commission. No building permit will be issued until such time as the site restoration bond is submitted in an amount determined by the city. All sediment and erosion controls will be installed prior to construction, and the commission reserves the right to require and request additional sedimentation and erosion control. Again, this site does not need much because it's already predominantly covered. Failure to comply with the approved soil and erosion control plans may result in the revocation of the ENS control certification and other sanctions provided by law. They will be installed per the state handbook, and all utilities serving development will be installed underground and noted on the record map. If there are any other special conditions commissioners would like to add.
Alex, can you go back to number 8, please?
Yep.
I think I would like to see that expanded. All retail uses and their signs are approved by the staff or commission prior to any installation or any manufacturing or installation. Or the manufacturer thereof,
Fabrication or
fabrication,
installation.
that's it. That's the word. Prior to any fabrication or installation, yeah, perfect. I thought there was another one, numbers 1 to 4. Oh, yeah, just to point out that you had said for number 1, that the bond would be submitted into an amount determined by the city engineer and accepted by the commission. Not.
Sorry, and acceptable to the corporation
approved.
council.
Yeah. Okay. Does any commissioner have any modifications they would like to suggest for this?
I did not, but I will move for approval. Going
Okay.
back up. Please get the motion on the table.
Yep.
No, up above, right? Wasn't there a line up above at the very beginning?
Yeah,
no?
there was. Up. There we go.
Yeah. So I move to approve the special exception for planning and zoning application 21-30.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so it's a motion to approve with the conditions set forth from Commissioner Parkins, seconded by Commissioner Kelly. Before we go on, what happened to the screen?
Just had to type. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, okay. Mr. Panico, did you have any comments, questions, or concerns about any of the?
No, Alex and I have been talking about this for the last couple of months, I guess.
Okay.
There's always the last minute odds and ends that need to be taken care of, but they're purely administrative and
Okay.
staff will take care of them.
So you're comfortable with the way that the motion is worded?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So on the motion from Commissioner Parkins, seconded by Commissioner Kelly for approval, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Ticky,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Lascos,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion has been approved 6-0. All right, we'll move on to old business item B. Application 2206 PDD number 101, Good Guys Development LLC at Petromont Lane and 275 Quorum Road, Assessors Map 66, lots 22 and 23 for a major modification of PDD number 101, 400 apartments with on-site parking. And we have a resolution to review tonight, which gives a great deal of history about this project, so I'm not going to give a historical background as I normally do. So do all the commissioners have that resolution, Mr. Rossetti? So, Mr. Panico, are you going to read this for us?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Roll it down from the top.
Okay, well.
The other
we're
way, the
dealing-
other way. Okay,
We're dealing with application 2206, the petition of Good Guys Development LLC for an approval and adoption of a major modification of a plan development district number 101 for enlargement of the PDD and expansion of the multifamily residential building. And it's at the corner of Petromont Lane and Quorum Road, and the area originally was zoned R3. The petitioner proposes to expand Plan Development District number 101 from a 2.12 acre site to a 3.54 acre site with frontage of approximately 400 feet on Quorum Road and 385 feet on Petromont Lane. And it's at the corner of Quorum and Petromont. The site is rectangular in shape and it's situated in a transitional use area. It abuts retail and commercial development on River Road. It's across Petromont Lane from a mixed commercial development, and it's opposite Quorum Road from an office development. And it's adjacent to vacant land, which is still zone residence R3. The site is characterized by variable topography, and there are no inland wetland regulated areas on the site. Quorum Road is a predominantly residential road connecting to Constitution Boulevard South, a short distance away. Petromont Lane is a public road with a very narrow paved travelway and a substandard right-of-way width. It will require widening and improvements to accommodate any additional traffic. Utilities are available in both Petromont Lane and Quorum Road and include stormwater catch basins and lines, a water main, sanitary sewers, and overhead electric and telephone lines. Development of the site will necessitate excavation and regrading, including probably some amount of rock removal. The property is currently owned by the petitioner. The development as originally approved on PDD 101 consisted of 47 studio and one-bedroom dwelling units, 6 of which were proposed to be reserved as affordable in a single building. The expanded proposal consists of 100 apartments in 2 50-unit wings connected by a core area with a lobby, as well as a meeting room, fitness center, mail room, lounge, offices, and tenant storage. 10% of the area, 10% of the units will be reserved as affordable housing units. The mix proposed consists of 40 studios, 32 one-bedroom units, and 28 one-bedroom plus office. The affordable housing units will reflect the overall unit mix. The outdoor site facilities include a dog park, some picnic tables and gas grills. There's on-site parking for a total of 197 cars shown, 12 of which are in an area that they would like to defer until needed. Of the 197 spaces, 62 of them are located beneath the building wings. The rest of them are open. Access to the site is proposed by a single median divided driveway connection to Quorum Road with the potential for a separate emergency connection to Petromont Lane. The proposed building is positioned at the interior corner of the site with adequate setbacks from all property and street lines. Parking is distributed throughout the site as well as under the two multi-story building wings, and it's all interconnected throughout the site. A significant landscape area is preserved at the street intersection. Modified final site development plans were submitted for the proposal, accompanied by a revised statement of uses and standards. Said plans are entitled Final Site Development Plans for Multifamily Residential PDD 101, quote, Clock Tower at Petromont Place, unquote, 275 Coram Road and 0 Petromont Lane, Shelton, Connecticut, prepared for Good Guys Development LLC by Rose Chizo and Company LLC, Architects and Engineers, dated 6/3/2020, revised to 3/10/22. Also submitted was a site engineering and design report prepared by Manuel Jose Silva, professional engineer of Rose Chizo and Company LLC, dated February 28, 2022. And the traffic impact study by KWH Enterprise LLC, dated February 22. The commission convened and concluded a duly noticed public hearing on April 27, 2022, at which hearing there was only one comment expressed by the public, and it was relative to stormwater discharge from the site. The commissioners and staff raised several questions focused on building height, the sequence of construction, facilities and stations for electric vehicle recharging, pet accommodations, supporting outdoor facilities for tenants, potential blasting, grading and drainage issues, as well as architectural design, including the so-called office rooms, provisions for internal rubbish disposal, exterior materials, and finally, confirmation of the set aside of the 10% as affordable units that meet the state of Connecticut requirement as affordable units. The applicant attempted to address all the comments and concerns of the commission and the public at the hearing. The applicant noted that if necessary, any and all other concerns of the commission can and will be addressed more fully to the satisfaction of the commission and all other responsible boards and commissions prior to endorsement of the modified final site development plans. The commission has reviewed the subject modified final site development plans and is familiar with the area, existing site conditions, and area traffic patterns. It has considered how the site is proposed to be developed, public comments expressed, the existing land uses and zoning of adjacent parcels, and its impact on development of the subject site, and the concerns expressed by the commission at the public hearing and in its deliberations, and notes the following observations and findings. Finding number one, as noted, current zoning and land uses in the area are mixed. The site expansion area is residentially zoned for small size lots at the R3 standard of 12,000 square feet per lot. The site is served by all necessary utilities in the fronting streets and characterized by a variety of topographic constraints. Being in a transitional use area, a moderate density multifamily use with an appropriately sized and located well-designed building with a traditional design and residential character will be consistent with both the adjacent residential and commercial uses. In addition, continuation of the PDD approach would give the commission full control over the specifics of the use, as well as over the design, the layout, and appearance of the proposed development. The expanded site would eliminate potential conflict with alternative single-family development that might occur on that portion of the site that's adjacent to Coram Road. Number two, the subject 3.54 acre site is roughly rectangular in shape, and it's somewhat impacted by topographic constraints. Development of the site must be carefully designed to produce an attractive solution and an appropriate transition between different land uses. Required utility services continue to be available on Petromont Lane as well as now on Coram, and all on-site utilities will be located underground. All stormwater runoff will be collected and conveyed to underground galleys for detention and cleansing prior to discharge to the existing stormwater drainage system in Petromont Lane. There are no inland wetland regulated areas on site. However, the initial Inland Wetland Commission approval of proposed grading and off-site discharge has been received. The approval of the Shelton Water Pollution Control Authority for the proposed discharge into the sanitary sewer system has been applied for and is awaiting final WPCA approval. 3, although a thorough discussion of Petromont Lane physical conditions and traffic flow patterns confirmed the position of the commission that regardless of the relocation of the proposed entry to Coram Road, Petromont Lane must be improved. Currently, the pavement width along the site frontage is generally less than 20 feet and as little as 13.9 feet at one location, and is marginally functional for current traffic flow. The city engineer, in his review letter of April 14, 2022, reported that widening of Petromont Lane is necessary, quote, regardless if entrance is on Coram or Petromont. In addition, he also noted that an emergency access should be provided from Petromont Lane at an appropriate location. The traffic impact study prepared by KWH Enterprise traffic engineers was submitted and indicates minimal traffic generation. The report represents that there should be no adverse traffic impacts on the area road system. Off-site traffic impacts on area roads will be significantly less than that from any potential rezoning for commercial development. In other words, if the applicant had sought a commercial proposal, it would have generated far more traffic than the residential one does. If the city agrees to participate in the necessary improvements to Petromont Lane, the applicant should be aware that issuance of permits for construction and/or occupancy will be predicated on the timely implementation of those road improvements. All road improvement details and commitments will need to be finalized prior to the approval and sign off of the modified final site development plans. 4, the final mix of units proposed will be 40 studio units, 32 typical one-bedroom units, and 28 one-bedroom plus office units. The 100 units must include not less than 10 units allocated as affordable units in compliance with requirements set forth in the Connecticut General Statutes and consistent with the overall unit mix. 5, the proposed building design consists of 2 identical residential buildings of 50 apartments each on 4 floors above a ground level parking area of 31 spaces under each building. The 2 components are joined to a ground level core area that contains the entrance lobby, a mailroom, a fitness center, meeting room, lounge, and offices serving all apartments. The exterior elevations attempt to create a traditional design with a gable roof and multiple dormers, utilizing architectural asphalt roof shingles and an exterior of thin brick masonry elements, horizontal vinyl clapboard siding, and vinyl shingle siding, as noted on the elevations and represented on the rendering that was provided. Some further modification will be required for clarification primarily, and possible expansion of the masonry components and the introduction of some partial screen walls at the building end walls in an attempt to minimize the visual impact of the parking that occurs beneath those buildings. The overall building height from ground level to the top of the roof is approximately 59 feet, except for the 2 roof features above the elevator shafts, which of necessity project a little higher. Further specifics concerning the exterior materials and finishes, including samples, may be required, and revised detailed architectural drawings must be prepared for submission to satisfy the conditionally approved modified final site development plans. There's just some architectural elements that I could not quite understand from the drawings, and I need to have them explained to me. Number 6, the commission notes that the site plan layout is generally acceptable, subject to minor clarification and detail. First of all, the site curbing is labeled as, quote, extruded concrete curbing, typical, unquote. It should be specific as to Portland cement concrete, since the detail sheet only shows bituminous concrete lip curbing. And I just want to make sure we don't have a misconnection here. It needs to be specified. Fencing specifics need to be provided. If chain link fence is the fence of choice, then it should be no less than dark colored vinyl coated chain link of a specific height. The double gated access egress control in and out of the dog play area needs more specifics. It's just some lines on the drawing. I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to look like. Lighting poles and fixtures do not seem to be provided. They did do a lighting plan, but I could find in no area where they indicated the type of the fixture or the height of the poles or whatever. So we need to get a little more clarification. The grading between Building B and the easterly property line is difficult to understand. The easterly property line is the one that backs up to the commercial area that fronts on River Road. The applicant should provide 2 or 3 cross sections from the proposed building to the paved area on the adjacent commercial site so that we can get a better grasp of exactly what's happening in there. The proposed grade along the edge of the picnic area appears to be a 2-to-1 embankment. This should be flattened to a more gentle and safe slope. The previously suggested berm along the upper half of Quorum Road should be reflected on the grading plan. I know we talked about it and everyone agreed it can easily be done. Additional specifics are needed regarding the interim treatment of that proposed parking area to be deferred, if in fact that's what happens. The proposed connection of this area to the exit side of the main entry drive should be eliminated. It's not a good place for it. This area may be connected to the adjacent parallel aisle with the probable loss of 4 spaces, or establishing these spaces as a dead-end parking court. The applicant should reconsider the convenience of the EV charging stations and perhaps move them over toward the residential building and the convenience of its elevator access. The landscape plan will require further strengthening and revision, as well as more notes. The tree size should be increased slightly to, say, 3 to 3.5 inch caliber, and a slight reduction in spacing considered. There aren't an awful lot of them, so they should be more substantial. Additional enhancement of the entry drive should also be considered. The applicant needs to explain to someone, to me, the purpose of a 6-foot fence that's shown from the end of the retaining wall out to Petromont Lane. I'm not quite sure the purpose or the function of that fence, and I need to have it explained. All of these various concerns, however minor they are, need to be addressed on the modified final site development plan. And achieving those solutions should include commission and staff involvement when necessary. The applicant has not provided the commission with any information from test pits or boring data regarding the depth to rock. We still don't know anything more about it. Any significant development of this site is expected to involve excavation and regrading, which site preparation, by the way, has already been started. The applicant should convey whether or not a determination has been made concerning the necessity of rock blasting and removal. Every effort should be made to minimize such blasting, but if it is required, the applicant will be required to submit a proposed blasting program, including schedules, pre-blast surveys, the hours of blasting, evidence of insurance, etc., all in compliance with the city's blasting ordinance and other requirements of the Shelton Fire Marshal, as well as possibly the State Fire Marshal's office. The applicant should submit a blasting program as part of the modified final site development plan submission, setting forth in detail the blasting program, the hours of operation, the provisions for and the extent of pre-blast surveys, blast monitoring, the times of blasting, insurance coverage, etc. So it's paramount that they find out where and how much rock they're going to be dealing with and how much of a program we need to have to cover it. Number 8, the plans were referred to the fire marshal, the WPCA, the police department, and the city engineer for their review and comment. The city engineer worked with the applicant to address the major concerns or reservations with the stormwater management system. All final outstanding concerns of staff and municipal departments must be addressed prior to commission endorsement of the modified final site development plans. Number 9, the statement of uses and standards needs minor revision and modification relative to the area dealing with permitted uses, the area dealing with their zoning compliance table, the section dealing with parking, and some provisions relative to signage in order to clarify certain language and to assure consistency with the context of the currently adopted statement of uses and standards presently applying to PDD 101. After completing discussion of the PDD petition for modification and the modified site development plans, the commission is prepared to render its decision, and accordingly, staff has prepared a favorable resolution for their consideration and action. On the basis of the findings and concerns we've noted above, the following resolution is offered. Whereas the applicant has submitted a complete petition for the major modification and expansion of PDD number 101 for the establishment of a 100-unit residential rental apartment building under the provisions of the Plan Development District regulations on a 3.54-acre site fronting at the corner of Petromont Lane and Quorum Road, the enlarged portion of which is currently zoned residence R3. Whereas the applicant has submitted modified final site development plans, including a traffic assessment, an opinion of potential impact, if any, on area property values, detailed site plans, site engineering report, traffic impact report, and modified architectural design plans in order to provide the commission with the required information and details necessary to render modified final site development plan conditional approval and adoption of a major modification of the Plan Development District 101. And whereas the commission held and completed a duly noticed public hearing on April 27, 2022, during which hearing the applicant presented a proposal to expand the subject site to 3.54 acres and increase the maximum density to 100 dwelling units in an entirely redesigned building. And whereas the commission is familiar with the subject site and the applicable zoning regulations, has discussed and reviewed in detail the proposal and all the accompanying documents, and subject to the comments set forth above, the commission notes the following. 1, the application complies with the applicable zoning requirements and the specific provisions and stipulations of PDD 101 as proposed to be modified. 2, necessary final approvals of inland wetlands, water pollution control, and the city engineer will need to be confirmed, and a favorable report has been submitted by the fire marshal. Modified final site development plans will require further modification and revision to address concerns and limitations set forth above. All concerns identified during the ongoing review and plan modifications need to be resolved prior to the submission of modified final site development plans for the commission's endorsement of its approval. 3, the site is currently vacant and it is characterized by variable topography with all necessary utilities available at the site. The proposed stormwater management plan satisfies the city ordinance, adequately addresses stormwater drainage issues, and proposes to discharge into underground galleys prior to connecting to the existing system in Petromont Lane. 4, the expanded site is positioned in a transitional location between and opposite developed commercial uses. The expanded development proposal and residential apartment building design is subject to careful review and control under the provisions of Plan Development District, assuring it will successfully transition from the commercial development to the single-family residential development. 5, the existing and proposed utility services are adequate for the proposed development. All on-site utility services will be located underground. Proposed parking facilities will be adequate to serve the proposed building. And with the necessitated improvement of Petromont Lane, projected traffic will not overload the street system in the area. The commission will continue to work with the applicant, the city engineer, the street department, and the traffic division of the police department as needed regarding the Petromont Lane improvements. 6, the submitted modified final site development plans with further refinement will address all the outstanding concerns of the commission, the fire marshal, the city engineer, and all other applicable municipal boards and commissions. If significant blasting is required, a detailed program addressing all aspects of the proposed blasting must be provided. 7, the expanded PDD designation encompasses a parcel of adequate size and is consistent with the comprehensive plan of zoning for the city. Now, therefore, on the basis of the above, the representations made at the public hearing and other discussions with the commission, the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission hereby takes the following actions. And we have 2 actions to take. A, in accordance with the provisions of section 34 of the Shelton zoning regulations, the subject modified final site development plan is hereby conditionally approved, subject to the following modifications, stipulations, and adjustments. 1, submission of a modified and revised statement of uses and standards to clarify and address outstanding concerns of staff regarding permitted uses, zoning compliance, parking, and signage, and to clarify language and other areas of concern. 2, final approval by the commission concerning adjustments and revisions of the modified final site development plans in response to all the concerns noted above, with specific reference to required road improvements to Petromont Lane, satisfaction of all engineering concerns of the city engineer, and any comments and concerns of the fire marshal and all other applicable municipal boards and commissions. 3, approval of final building design adjustments and details with particular attention to the use of the proposed exterior materials and finishes on all the building elevations. 4, if determined to be necessary, submission of a detailed blasting program that addresses pre-blast survey criteria, scheduling of blasts, proposed monitoring, hours of operation, evidence of adequate liability insurance, and compliance with all state and city blasting ordinances. And 5, posting of appropriate bonding in an amount as determined by the commission upon recommendation of the city engineer to assure site restoration and/or completion of critical site improvements and other areas of concern. A separate performance bond is required to guarantee the completion of all off-site improvements to public streets and infrastructure. And a separate bond is required to assure the installation and maintenance of any and all required on-site sediment erosion controls that have to be posted and continued in effect until completion of site construction and restabilization of ground surfaces. And then the second action is that on the basis of this conditional approval of modified final site development plans, subject to the stipulations and modifications set forth above, the expansion of PDD number 101 is hereby adopted for the reasons found in the discussion preceding the motion and shall continue to be identified as PDD number 101. Said adoption of the expanded PDD number 101 as set forth herein shall become effective on Friday, and I'm not sure which Friday it's going to be, at 2022, excuse me. I knew I had to have a mistake somewhere, at 8 a.m. If we can discuss the report, we can discuss the resolution or anything else that the commission would like to discuss.
Okay, does any commissioner have any questions for Mr. Panico? Any comments about any specific item in this particular resolution?
Do you want to make a motion to move it first before discussion?
I think we could do that. So is there any commissioner that would like to move the resolution?
Commissioner Parkins will move the resolution.
Okay, is there a second?
It's Commissioner Laskos, I'll second it.
Okay, so we have moved and seconded now for discussion.
The only note I have is that on page 6, number 6, I think it's going to become our new mantra. about getting planning and zoning approval for signage prior to fabrication.
Good point.
And I think it's also gonna, so number 6, yeah, so where it says,
Yeah, right at the, regarding proposed signage, details
Yep.
should be submitted for commission approval, yeah.
Prior to fabrication.
I could put those words in there.
and I also think it's very important from this point forward to also include them in the statement of uses and standards. Because a lot of times people won't go back to read through these resolutions, but they will read the statement of uses and standards. So I think it should be clearly stipulated in the revised statement for this project.
That's exactly why we really need to put our heads together with the applicant and tell them the areas that we're concerned about and have them change it, rather than me try to explain each and every change in the resolution.
Mhm.
It's the same way with some of the minor comments on the architectural stuff. I looked at drawings, but I don't have the benefit of the full scale drawing. So I'm looking at little drawings and trying to figure out if what I'm looking at is answering my concerns or not. And in order to be sure of that, I probably need to have conversations with the applicant, with the architect. So, but there's nothing that I came across that isn't resolvable very easily. It's clarification in most cases.
Are you referring to a resolution at the staff level? Mr.
No, I'm
Panico?
saying the resolution of my concerns can
Mhm.
all be addressed very easily. It's just that I need to have some one-on-one discussions with their engineer and with the architect and have them explain some things to me that I can't really tell from the little drawings that I'm looking at.
Right, but that means it doesn't need to come back to the commission again, does it?
It doesn't have to, unless for some reason I end up in a disagreement with them and say, okay, well, this is the way I see it. You don't see it that way. Let's make the commission decide it.
Mhm.
So, but I would not expect that to be.
Okay,
I have no other further comments.
all right. Anybody else have any comments on the contents of the resolution?
This is Commissioner Ticky. I have a question that I'm not sure if staff or Mr. Panico can ask, but I was wondering with regard to the traffic and the traffic study, it says that because of the abnormally low traffic volumes during the pandemic, they didn't do the traffic counts. And so they're using DOT data with a 0.5% annual growth. The table that they show has data from 2013. So I'm not sure if Mr. Panico or staff is aware. Is that the data that they used for this from 2013?
Quite frankly, I can't answer that. I don't know. I thought, quite frankly, that the traffic study was a very conservative study on behalf of the applicant. And I just don't agree with it. I look at some of the numbers and I'm not a traffic engineer. And unfortunately, this was not a case where we decided to have a peer review of the traffic report. We didn't think it was warranted, but I think it's overly conservative. And I can't believe that in the peak hour of flow, you're only going to get 2 or 3 cars that would want to use Petromont Lane, because that's the one I was most interested in. If you look at those numbers and you accept those numbers, you got to say, well, nobody's going to use Petromont Lane. And I don't think that's going to be the case. It's going to be too convenient to use. People are not going to want to go all the way down to Constitution Boulevard and then down to River Road to turn back towards town. They're going to want to go up Petromont and make that left, even though that's a difficult left to make.
Yeah, that might be the consideration, that they err on the side of safety and go down another block to the traffic light. So, all right. Anybody
But
else?
it's not going to be any different from everybody else that currently uses Petromont,
Mhm.
right? It's not like, 50 people are going to be coming out of that apartment complex at the same time.
No, that's true.
No, and there's 1, 2, 3 different ways they could go.
For
They could
people
go
to
up
go.
Constitution, up Quorum Road. So, or they could go down Constitution. So,
You know, if somebody wants to get to Route 8, to the expressway, they've either got to go to Constitution and go up Constitution, or they got to get over to River Road and make a left and pick it up downtown. You don't want to make that difficult to the point where they're going to decide to take a right on Coram and put additional traffic unnecessarily on Coram to get to Route 8. So I think it's important that Petromont be improved to some degree. What that is remains to be seen. It's got to be decided on between the commission and the city engineer.
Yeah, road conditions on Petromont Lane definitely need to be addressed, I would say. And
Is the applicant making those improvements though?
No, we're telling them we that it needs to be done. They did not offer to make any improvements to Petromont.
Okay,
Their
so it's a condition of approval.
Their feeling as it is that they're not putting any burden on Petromont. That it is a bad road, but it's a city responsibility. That's essentially what they're saying.
where is that in as a condition of approval though, in the resolution?
I'm sorry?
Where is that in the resolution as a condition of approval? We have it at the beginning that Petromont is a public road with a very narrow paved travelway and a substandard right-of-way width. It will require widening and improvements to accommodate any additional traffic.
Right.
Later on, Mr. Panico, is it stated again somewhere?
I mean, we can strengthen it if that's the position of the commission.
Yeah, is it in there somewhere else? So.
Well, on page 4 under item 3, that whole paragraph deals with Petromont.
All right.
And the very last thing says, all road improvement details and commitments will need to be finalized prior to approval and sign off of the modified development plans. So we're giving them a conditional approval if you so act, but that doesn't give them carte blanche.
Okay. All right, any more comments for Mr. Panico? So is the commission ready to vote on this, or do you feel that there's so many I's to be dotted and T's to cross that it would be better for the applicant to get that all taken care of to Mr. Panico's and staff's satisfaction, and then come back to the commission with for a vote? Are these at the level that it can be taken care of at staff level or not?
I would say if Tony's comfortable having it done at staff level, he's the expert on what he's looking for in response and how detailed it is. So
I would agree with that.
In agreement.
Okay, no objections then to move forward?
The first step obviously is to sit down with Steve and fix up the statement of use and standards. And then with that, we can go ahead and advertise it, because when you advertise the zone change in effect is what it is, you have to file that document. So.
but you're very comfortable that if we pass this resolution tonight, that you can work out all the details.
Yeah, because the stuff that I picked on is really very, very minor. The commission appeared to me at any rate to be perfectly satisfied with the architecture of it, the general styling of it, the materials that were being used, etc. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of issues. In fact, we talked about them a little bit, but we just never took it to the next step of getting them drawn on the actual plans. We worked with the plans as they were submitted. So I don't anticipate any conflict with them at all. And if there is one, we'll lay it before the commission.
Okay.
If there was, I don't think you would have put the resolution in effect, Tony.
Mhm.
Pardon me?
I said, if you thought there would be a problem, I don't think you would have wrote the resolution.
Yeah, you're right. I would have simply had a discussion with the commission and say, we've got some things we got to straighten out before we write this up.
Right,
Correct.
okay. All right, then I'll do a roll call vote. So on the above resolution that was moved by Commissioner Parkins and seconded by Commissioner Lascos for approval, Commissioner Kelly,
Approved.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Lascos,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
No.
you're a nay, okay?
That's right.
And the chair votes aye. Motion to approve has passed by a vote of 5-1.
I just need to point out for the commission that the effective date of the modification to the PDD will have to be determined once they've updated their statement of use and standards.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be moving on. To item C, application 2208, PDD number 86, Stephen Bellis for Brookview Apartments LLC at 303 Old Bridgeport Avenue, Assessors Map 91, Lot 16, for major modification of PDD number 86 for 30 apartments with on-site parking. And public hearing for this application opened April 27th. It was continued to and closed on June 22nd. Posted on the city's website is the application, statement of uses and standards, site plan, floor plans and elevations, site engineering design report, letters from the city engineer and Inland Wetlands Commission. The applicant's civil engineer reviewed changes to the site plan, which include a shift of the building's location to create a more efficient parking lot and to create more green space, removal of plantings 18 inches or taller adjacent to the driveway, and a change to radius lines to create a better sight line for the driveway. Mr. Panico asked that plans be revised to include a wider entrance divided by a median, a walking access to the dumpster, and an indication of the dumpster's location. The applicant indicated 10% of the units, meaning 3, would be designated as voluntary affordable housing units. No one from the public made comments about the application. Mr. Panico, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns that you want to share with us at this time?
The only outstanding thing was that the city engineer had raised a comment with the condition of the private road that goes from Old Bridgeport up to the property line of the condominiums. It serves as their back door, so to speak. And it's something that's on an easement that somebody owns, but it's shared by 3 different properties. And the city engineer feels that the entire roadway ought to be milled down and repaved from the property line down to the to Old Bridgeport Avenue.
Mhm.
And all I'm saying, I totally agree with him. But in all fairness, we have 2 potential projects, the one that you're considering right now and a one coming up across the street, so to speak, that we haven't heard yet. And if that were to receive a favorable response from the commission, then you really have 2 developments that should be responsible for that work. So one way of doing it is to just delay on the distribution of that responsibility, or put a condition on this approval that he needs to make that improvement up to and beyond his driveway connection.
Mhm.
And then if and when something happens with the property across the street, that they would carry that improvement the rest of the way.
Mhm. Okay. So the 3 different users that you're referring to are Sunwood Condos,
Yes.
the applicant, and the owner of the property across the street.
The owner across the street is Perry.
Yeah.
Yes.
S&P. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So to make sure everybody's clear on that.
Mhm.
All
Why,
right, so-
yeah, I have a question. Tony, why would just the 2 contractors be responsible for that road? is my way of thinking is that the condominiums had the use of this road since the condominiums were built.
Mhm.
And is that a fire exit lane also for the condominiums?
I would imagine it comes into play. I'm not privy to the stipulations as to who has the responsibility for the maintenance of that road.
No,
It's
no,
a-
I'm just saying that, maybe all three of them should have a responsibility for it.
Well, yeah, far be it from me to say yes, no, or maybe.
I know, I hear you.
The condominium people might just say, hey, we have no problem with the road the way it is.
I'm sure they don't want to hear
And
that.
then suddenly we're looking at superimposing a significant additional traffic burden on the
Right.
road. One for the project at hand and potentially.
Well, I think whoever uses
project
it now
across the
will
street.
continue using it as far as the condos are concerned,
Oh, for sure, they will.
Yeah.
There's an agreement, isn't there, between the property owners for the condo residents to use that particular?
There must be
There
somebody,
has to be something somewhere.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, I thought there was easements or
if
something.
memory serves me right, I think the property across the street, Perry's property, I think they own the majority of that road. But I think it's subject to an easement in favor of access to the property that we're looking at tonight. And there's an easement of access in favor of the condominiums.
Right.
Now, whether that easement of access also carries with it maintenance responsibilities, I don't know. I'm just not.
Right.
Mhm.
I agree. No one knows at this point.
Right.
Anyone else want to share any comments, questions, or concerns? So is the commission comfortable with this particular application?
I would think so. We talked about it.
Mhm. What's the commission's desire on moving forward on this particular project? Is this something that we should direct staff to make a motion to develop a resolution for approval or not?
I would think to make a resolution for approval. That would be my opinion.
Okay,
I agree.
I do.
Commissioner Laskos and Commissioner Mata, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Ticky, Commissioner Parkins?
I would agree.
Okay. And Commissioner Parkins, how about you? Do you have a feeling one way or the other?
I am struggling a little bit.
Okay. All right. So it seems that there is a consensus among the 6 members from 5 members for the staff to be directed to prepare a favorable resolution, and that would be on the agenda of an upcoming meeting. Okay, I think we're done with this particular application.
Okay.
So moving on to new business. Okay, application 2218, PDD number 70, 714 LLC at 389 Bridgeport Avenue, Assessors Map 77, Lot 26 on 11.73 acres for a minor modification of PDD number 70 to increase the outdoor dining area. This is the applicant is Motto Restaurant, and back, it's gonna be 2 years ago now, we modified our outdoor dining regs because of the pandemic to allow outside dining. And the applicant has come in to make that a permanent kind of situation as shown on Plan SK1, and to also to reestablish a handicap parking space that had been removed as part of that addition. So is everyone seen SK1?
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Rossetti, can you get that up on the screen? shift it up a bit.
There's
Okay,
there's a picture of that too, that would probably be better for explanation.
that's an old Google. Yeah, why that was part of the application. That
Right.
is not the existing condition.
Exactly, but if
Yeah.
you see where the handicap parking
Was.
is now,
Yep,
they have the rug over that and the handicap parking is gone.
yep.
All right, now
Mr.
they want to extend it, that
What?
area through
They
the
want to-
handicap. and
They
for-
want approval for the extension that already exists.
Yeah, but then they want to add the handicap after that.
Right.
Now, that doesn't give their neighbor a parking space.
What do you mean?
That's what I said, that in front of their neighbor's door, it doesn't give them a parking space. If you know Marks of Design, they have 4 or 5 signs already saying this is for Marks of Design.
Yeah, but they're not intruding onto the Marks of Design.
No, but
There's-
they're intruding
There's
on their
one
neighbor.
for Great Clips.
Yeah, they're intruding right on their neighbor. In other words, they took their neighbor's spot.
There is nothing on that.
This is a
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
shopping area. There should not be assigned places.
The only
I know,
one
but they
that
have it.
reserved- The only ones that have reserved is Marks of Design for some reason.
And Great Clips. Great Clips has a sign as well.
They do?
Yes, one,
Yeah, but that will take their sign away, won't it?
probably.
So I'm not quite sure, I guess that's with a tenant lease, wouldn't it be? Right there.
Reserved for Great Clips.
Yep.
Great Clips, they have 2.
They have 2.
Yeah, so they're taking one away. I think what we have
No,
to.
they're taking-
Unless they've already taken one away with the rug. Is that what
did.
you're saying?
Yeah,
When the handicap space was covered up because of the extension of the outdoor dining area, it was not replaced somewhere else. And that's what we have to decide. Is it more beneficial? Who's it going to benefit more? The handicapped person who needs to park by that area of the plaza? Or are we going to leave it as is and have a retailer have 2 regular parking spaces?
you
And
could reduce it and leave the handicap there, reduce the outside dining area.
Mr. Rossetti, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the outdoor dining area written such that they can extend across the storefront of their property?
Not sure I understand the question. So the applicant may propose to extend the patio in front of their property, which
Mhm.
is what they're trying to do.
Okay, that's how it exists now. So do we have them scale it back?
I think this attitude of thinking that the spaces directly in front of your leased space belong to you is a bad precedent.
Oh, I think so too, but it's there.
Maybe we ought to communicate to the owner of the center and say, hey, these spaces were never supposed to be specifically allocated to any one tenant.
Tony, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that and eliminate it.
Make Marks of Design take their signs the hell out of there. And Great Clips too, if they've got one there.
Right.
All right, this is not a public hearing, and the representative of the 389 Bridgeport Avenue, I believe, is here as part of the Zoom meeting.
I am.
I don't, okay, and I don't think that there's any restriction that we cannot communicate with the applicant's representative, right, Mr. Panico?
Correct.
Is that Mr. Rossetti saying yes?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
Oh,
all right. So
This is not a public hearing item. You
Right.
can
we could
have
discuss.
as much dialogue as you want.
Right, okay. So, Mr. Malazzi, are you identify yourself, please?
I am one of the owners of Motto.
Okay, one of the owners of Motto, okay. And your address for the record, if you wouldn't mind?
I am building a house right now on 30 Winthrop Woods. I
Okay,
was on 28 Pier Main. I just moved to moving to Shelton again.
okay, that's nice. All right, so, in any event, and I see Mr. Blakeman. You are on the screen. Do you plan to participate verbally? Guess not.
I've had talks with Jimmy anyway about wherever you guys need me to put the handicap ramp, I'll put it. If it's got to get moved a little further, I'm fine with that too.
Mhm.
But
All
like
right.
you said, I don't believe you can, you have to respect a space with their name on it because it doesn't mean anything, right?
We don't do that.
What we're trying to accomplish here is to have the outdoor dining space approved for Motto. We're trying to reestablish that handicap space.
Right.
All right. So throwing out to the commission, how do you want to accomplish this? And
I
Mr.
think it
Blake,
needs to be in the front of the building.
Ruth, can you guys hear me?
yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes, it's Jim Blakeman, 96 Bighorn Road, the owner of the plaza. The tenants really like that spot there. I prefer to move the handicap someplace else if we can in the plaza.
You know
That
how
would be
this was
ideal.
generated? There was a complaint by a resident
Yeah,
who has to bring a spouse to the medical,
Urgent care.
urgent care, apparently on long-term basis. And up until the point where the outdoor dining was expanded, she had no problem. But once that outdoor dining she's been having an extremely difficult time having to transport her husband in a wheelchair from wherever she can park. And so while there is a handicap space further down by the wine store or something, this is what was brought to our attention, that she's having a difficult time now and has to a lot of times park out in the parking lot and cross the traffic to get the wheelchair to the sidewalk to get to the urgent care center.
couldn't we put the handicap spot down towards the medical? Wouldn't that make more sense over there? If we could find a few spots over there, slide it to the left of Kate Marks's jewelry store.
Can you swing around on
That
this,
would be logical.
Alex?
Right.
Yeah, Alex, yeah, the other way. Go back. All right, so
Like-
this marks a design,
Yeah,
okay?
Where?
All the way to the right of my salon and past the tan portion. Here's
Keep
marks.
going all the way down. It's right.
to
It's
the
the
right.
purple one. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next little storefront, that short one, that's the tan one before the Motto awning that's about the vicinity where on the sketch, it shows the handicap space.
Right.
Okay, that's the old picture. So going back down, Mr. Blakeman's saying, all right, what if we put the handicap space closer to the urgent care center?
Right, near my salon area over in there.
Okay, now.
Is there one there already or?
Appears to be one right there, and then there's one
I
right
just
next to the
pair it
medical.
off with the, yeah.
Would that work?
Should we put two down there? I mean, there's more handicapped people that would actually go to the medical, you would think, right?
Or the My Salon as well, I would think.
Mhm.
Right, hair salon.
Yeah.
Or any place.
Any place, yeah. Where that white station wagon is and the red car. Can that be taken up? So you sort of
Right.
have,
My salon to the right where that white car is would be fine in that area.
where the white and red cars are,
Yeah, they're
put the thing back. The picture back.
right where that white car is there to the right, 2 spots over from the existing handicap spot. The other side, I believe.
So 2 would be
To the
middle
right.
then.
To the right of Billions Nails there.
Yeah, all right, swing it around. All right, so right there.
Right
So,
where that white car is right there.
so
2
instead of having,
spots over. Right,
instead of
right
having
where,
one, yeah, I see it. But instead
right
of
about
being-
there.
Instead of having a handicap space all the way down to the right by Motto, the additional one would be more centralized now.
I think so. It'd be balanced a little bit more and closer to, a place that would make more sense, I would think.
Mhm.
Your
You-
tenants pay more to have prime parking? I mean,
It just happened that, no, it's not prime parking. It's just certain tenants wanted it in their leases and we don't really like it, but they force it on us. And when we're signing leases, a lot of times.
well, it's really
But
unfair
now
to all
you've
those
got
other
virtually the
tenants.
entire frontage of that building all assigned.
I agree, Tony. I agree.
That's really not what the intent of a good operating shopping center is.
I agree. I agree. But that's what happens, unfortunately, when we're signing these leases on us.
Well, if they want to be there bad enough, they'll sign the lease, right?
Right. That's exactly.
There's the word no. All right, swinging around back, facing the other way. Would
It
it?
was
is it
Mark's
before-
design that started it all.
I know.
Yep, it was.
There
All
was
right, so-
nobody had an assigned space until they came along. And then all of a sudden Urgent Care's got them in front of their place now.
Yeah, they do.
And the other, somebody else had them in front of theirs.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Better than 50% of that frontage in this block of your center is reserved, so-called.
Reserved already, yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to the issue. The question I have is there a ADA kind of regulation where the stripe portion has to be on the left of the, because that's how, if you're coming in a van, that's where the opening would be, or should it be where the black station wagon is? Should that
I
be
don't
with the
think there is.
handicap and then the stripe to the right of that?
I've seen them right and left.
Yeah, should they be butted up next to each other or should there be a space between?
So you're basically going to take a space away from the urgent care to give it to the restaurant.
No.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
I'm trying to think of what we're adding for a handicap. If they already have it. That's.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a handicap now.
the
The
handicap
urgent
is
care could
down
use the
here.
handicap space too.
Yeah.
I would
So you're
prefer to go
really
to
not
the
taking
right.
it away from them.
Well, you can't just have it for urgent care then.
No,
I would
it's gonna
think
be for
urgent care
everybody.
is a heck of a lot busier than Mark's Design, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right, I agree.
I mean,
So I mean, you can't just have the handicap for urgent care then.
What if we put
Well,
the-
maybe that's not a bad idea either. So that they always know that they've got a handicap space available for someone.
What if we move the handicap space to the black car?
That's what we were just.
that
talking
doesn't,
about.
you guys, we need the handicap spaces are good by themselves, but the key point is to have both a ramp and the striping
Exactly.
adjacent to a spot. So
Right.
this makes
Yeah, that
For-
makes a lot of
I
sense.
think that makes a lot of sense where you're hovering over.
the most sense. If you guys want to have a space further down towards the middle somewheres, then
Then
there
you
would
have to
probably,
reinvent the wheel again.
then you need
Yeah.
to install a ramp if you
Mhm.
really
Right.
want it to be useful, and perhaps take away a parking spot for additional striping. That may be overkill, but it seems like the easiest solution is just install another
That,
parking spot there. But I know, Jim, I'm sure you've got agreements to uphold with spaces and all that other jazz. So I don't know.
Why don't I make a phone call and discuss it with urgent care and try to turn that into a handicap spot? It's a reserved spot.
A
I think
handicap,
I persuade them into that.
right.
But it's not going to
It could
help a
still be their
handicapped
spot.
driver. It's not going to help a handicapped driver unless they back in.
Yeah, I mean, but I
True.
mean, I'm sure most of you have also seen handicapped passengers get out of vehicles or they backed in.
where that red truck is at the very end, that's not suitable?
Where you'd have to
Those are
take a,
No,
reserved.
because you'd have to have a ramp installed.
right, exactly.
So.
Yeah, the
all right,
easiest would be to share that ramp.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the best solution.
All right, so we will be picking the, Mr. Blakeman will check to see what's coming on, and then this will come back at another meeting.
Well,
with,
I would just like to hear some comments from the commission about the actual patio extension.
Sure.
You know, this was the existing area here. They're basically, and some of you have probably seen it. They would like to extend that patio across the front. You'll see that there's a little bump out for a pilaster column here, which looks like, you know, this guy right here. So the patio, this treatment would be extended across the front here up to the inside line of this column here, which would be in front of what is now Motto.
How do people get into the restaurant? They go around the patio or through it?
Yeah,
Or
so
how-
the main doors are right there. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mario, but I believe this patio area back, it's kind of tough to see from this view, but this walkway is preserved in here
Yeah,
behind these patios in front.
There's a
And so-
concrete, there's a concrete walkway to Mato. There's a square, I mean, if you saw what we did with the patio, there's a square patio. Right now it ends with, like he's saying, with that spot, it's directly in front of Mato. And then the only thing where we did, that we took up the handicap ramp, so. If I do this, I'll have to get rid of this handicap ramp altogether, but my patio is gonna be in front because it's basically a trip step.
So you're going to the end of your area there
Of the
I'm
storefront.
with the front, with the patio.
Exactly, and I'm trying to match that patio exactly what it is.
Mhm.
So again, you go around the patio to get to the front door somehow. or other.
Same way you enter now, but that patio comes out another 20 feet or whatever, 16 feet.
Yeah, well, you won't have a fence or, I mean, you just walk through it, yeah.
It will look exactly identical to this if you extended it, and if you extended it to the end of the parking spot, it's gonna be the same way you enter, right around the patio and into the
Right.
and into the concrete.
So the
Alex?
entrance to that patio is going to remain the same. It's not going to be expanded or moved
The entrance.
to the patio.
Well, no, all of this will be shifted over past that white car, past to the column, basically, where we showed it on the drawings.
The patio will be extended, but will the entrance to the patio stay where it is?
Yes. Well, it's gonna be extended to where the patio starts. I'm moving the patio over 20 feet, so the entrance will be 20 feet earlier.
Don't you
Well,
need to, isn't there a gate there for people to,
No,
No.
No,
there's a gate on the other side. This is just a wide open. Once you get past, if you see that last column in front of our doors, it's wide open so you can walk in. There's about 8 foot or 9 foot sidewalk, and then you can walk in the doors. There's no gate.
it would be
isn't
just,
there a
That
liquor
is an extension
commission
of the
rule that,
walkway.
isn't there a liquor commission rule that it has to be gated in for underage drinking?
Mhm.
I thought that was a liquor commission rule for outdoor patio.
well, they don't have it now.
Well, I know, obviously.
Don't tell anybody.
They don't have it at Amici's.
I don't,
That's the sidewalk.
yeah, there
Yeah.
are, I can think
Yeah,
of
but
50
that was-
restaurants.
That wasn't an approved patio. That was just a COVID expansion of dining.
Okay,
This one we're looking at doesn't have that though, right?
No,
now,
Alex, would you look in your emails for May 13th? I sent you pictures that I had taken.
Tony Panico, maybe you can respond to that question. Do you have any input on that?
On which now? On where to put the handicap space?
no, on the liquor.
No. Whether the patio needs to be
Gated.
accessed from within?
I
So I
don't,
know.
I honestly don't have an answer. I don't know. I don't know whether state liquor law comes into play or not.
I think every outdoor patio that we've approved, at Stormy's, there's one at the where the new Mexican Vazis.
Mhm.
We've had to
Accessible
access it from,
only inside.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
lot
yet
of
there are a
doors.
lot
Yeah.
of places where indoor dining has spilled out onto the sidewalk. And it's not enclosed, so I don't know.
Well, it's got to
I
be
mean,
in the
those
COVID
tables
regulations.
that they put outside of somebody's,
Yeah, but I don't know if that was just a COVID expansion, temporary expansion.
no.
I can actually add a gate if you wanted me to, and I'll keep the sidewalk the same. and they can enter the patio from the inside because we have sliding doors. So technically, the sidewalk will be 10 feet longer, 12, 16 feet longer, and the patio will be separate from the sidewalk. I can add that gate on the side of the sidewalk if I have to.
Alex, have any luck finding the May 13th email?
I found it. I just don't see any photos, so give me a second.
Okay. There-
I don't want to approve an expansion of something that's not,
Well, that, seeing that Mr.
Yeah,
Blakeman
no,
got to come back
fully
to us
approved.
with some information from the urgent care center, then that could give staff time to verify whether or not how that access to the patio needs to be.
I'm not approved to the expansion. I just don't want to approve something that may not conform to current
Yeah,
state
exactly.
rules.
No, that's understood.
Aren't the COVID
Agree.
rules still in place though? Or those were never ended, the
No,
COVID,
they're still in place for another year.
Mm.
at least, the way we're
Yeah, but
going.
there's one thing about just putting some tables out on the sidewalk,
Yeah,
and doing it that way than to have an actual patio designed and gated.
Mhm.
Like, what's the purpose of having it gated if you can just walk in?
Right.
You mean with the moratorium or what we're trying to do?
What you trying to do?
What's the point of having it gated? The only reason why I would gate this patio is because it's already gated around the whole thing. I'm trying to match existing conditions. I think it looks great as is. So
You're saying it's already gated all the way around? Like you can't just walk from your car into the outdoor patio?
No, you'd have to go on the sidewalk and go through the sidewalk.
Yeah,
You can
just-
walk
Yeah,
directly
it's
in,
not gated, no.
It's not gated all around.
Right.
No,
but it never was. So it was
Right.
like that in the beginning.
So the sidewalk edge of the patio is wide open.
Right, you can walk right through it.
Okay.
You know.
I think to the chairwoman's point, we should come back to this and find out, because I'm not quite sure if it needs to be gated or rather just fenced. Because there's other restaurants who have a fence around it. But I don't think you need a gate, but it should be fenced. So they might meet the requirement, but none of us are experts here in the Connecticut liquor permit. So maybe we can check that out. But I'm thinking of a lot of restaurants that have a fence, but not a gate. You can kind of walk through and it's managed or have a person there, but it isn't a fully gated experience, but it does have a fence. And from what I'm seeing, that might be the trick here. But again, I'm not an expert.
You're right,
I agree.
I agree.
all right, so we will then continue this discussion at a meeting, I hope in the very near future, so we can get the handicap portion of it to be resolved for any of the residents in town or visitors that need to utilize it. All right, how's that sound to everybody?
Didn't you say it's already covered up?
Yeah, the new one. Oh, yeah, the other one's been covered for a while. So they only have, instead of having two, they only have one. So my concern is getting that second one, having this information come from Mr. Blakeman so that we can get that second one reinstated.
Are there tables and stuff already set up on that handicap spot?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was covered over with like indoor outdoor carpet or something.
Okay, so it's already being utilized for that.
Oh, it has been for a while. Yeah.
All through COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next agenda item then.
Do you need a motion to table or no?
You know what? Tell you the truth, and looking at my notes, we didn't do a motion to accept for review.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing as well. We didn't accept it, so we can't table it.
You didn't even, yeah, it jumped over that part of my script. So, Mr. Panico, are we safe to go on? Do we have to go back and accept it for review?
No, you
No?
can
Okay.
certainly go on.
Okay, all right, so we can move on to our next agenda item then?
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
Thank
you. All right, next agenda item is application 2219 Dominic Thomas for Shelton Winier Company and Wholesalers Property Company at 10 Mountain View, Assessors Map 65, Lot 8, of 5.16 acres in an LIP zone for a special exception for a wholesale warehousing and distribution facility with business offices. Is there a motion to accept for review?
I'll
Commissioner
make a
Parkins,
motion.
go ahead.
All right, Commissioner Kelly, you're making the motion to accept for review,
Yes, I am.
and a second from,
Commissioner Parkins will second.
okay, so on the motion from Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Parkins to accept for review. Commissioner Kelly, would you mind modifying your motion to include and for staff to set a public hearing?
Yes, to make
Okay.
a motion to approve and have the staff make a public hearing.
To accept,
And Commissioner Parkins, you're modifying your second as well?
to accept and have staff set a public hearing.
Okay. All right, so Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion is passed 6-0. All right, next is application 2220, Dominic Thomas for Kirchhoff Acquisitions at 915 Bridgeport Avenue. Assessors map 8, lot 13 at 3.10 acres in the Office Park District Zone for PDD to include a 115,000 square foot facility with self-storage, business offices, daycare, and accessory uses. Is there a motion to accept for review and for staff to set a public hearing?
I will make the motion to accept for review and set a public hearing.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Motto, and thank you, Commissioner Laskos. So on the motion from Commissioner Motto, seconded by Commissioner Laskos to accept for review and for staff to set a public hearing. Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion's passed 6-0. All right, next is the public portion. If there's anyone from the public who would like to comment on an item not on the agenda, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom or dial *9 on your phone. And Mr. Rossetti, could you let us know if anyone is indicating such?
If there's anyone from the public that would like to speak up to the commission, please use the raise your hand feature.
And would have to be on a topic not on the agenda.
Going once, going twice. All right,
Oh,
go ahead.
all right, next agenda item. Comments from the chair and subcommittee chairs. All I want to mention is that there was a SEDC meeting this morning and an update on funding for the extension of the Riverwalk and the status of other projects along Canal Street was given. Commissioner Parkins, you were in attendance. Do you have anything to add on that?
No, this is just a quick update.
Yeah. All right, Commissioner Kelly, you have any comments from the downtown subcommittee?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Motto, have any comments from the zoning subcommittee?
No, we haven't gotten started on any of our big projects. I guess those will be coming soon, and we're still talking about some signs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but no signs ready to be put on the agenda yet?
I'm not sure what we're doing with one particular sign that we've talked about.
We
that-
worked it out with the applicant, and so he's going to remove all the bowls.
But he's still putting 3 signs across the front.
That's what we kind of came to consensus on.
Yeah.
I said, you can take your chances with the full commission, or if you want to go with what the recommendation from the zoning subcommittee, it's up to you. So,
Okay, but that's still gonna come before the full commission. Correct, Mr. Rossetti?
that's not the intent, no.
What?
It has to. We don't have the authority to approve.
I
It
think
has to come before the full
I think-
commission.
It's a recommendation that the zoning subcommittee is gonna make.
Okay.
Okay, so that will be on an agenda of an upcoming meeting, as all signs should be. Okay, any comments from the staff, Mr. Rossetti
Not at this time.
and Mr. Panico?
Nothing right now.
Okay, Next agenda item is approval of meeting minutes. The first is for June 14th, 2022. We had tabled those. There was a question as to which items Commissioners Parkins and alternate Commissioner Usel voted on. And that has been clarified.
I don't believe it's been clarified correctly.
Yeah, I have it here. And even the secretary, Miss Vernassos, went back and listened to the tape. So what I have is that for 2213, nope, wrong page. Here's the page. That application 2130 was Russo and Rizzo for Platte Road. And you did vote aye, and then you left the meeting after that vote. And Commissioner Usel was seated. Then Commissioner Usel was seated for applications 2212, 2216, 2213. Then he left, and there was no one seated after that for the 2214, 15, 17. Okay, so Mr. Vernassos, you're on mute, but would you verify that you did go back? And I did receive an email from Ms. Vernassos that she did go back and listen to the tape, and that's the that was recorded correctly. Sarah?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay. All right, so we are operating under minutes showing the votes being recorded correctly. Okay. All right. Commissioner Parkins, do you have information to the contrary? She's on the phone.
On the phone.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm sorry, I had to take that call.
It's okay. I was just asking if you had
If
any.
that is what your notes show, then I'm sure that I was kind of, yeah. I had to be somewhere, but I thought that I only sat through the first two, but if your
Right.
notes show me then being there and the clerk has it as well, I must have been there.
Okay.
I would have voted aye, so it's not a big deal.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry
All right.
about that.
That's all right. Doesn't hurt to ask. All right, so does anybody have any other comments or changes for the June 14th minutes? All right,
No.
if not, is there a motion to approve the June 14th minutes as submitted?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly making a motion to approve the June 14th minutes as submitted. Commissioner Amato, did I hear you?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, I think we got a little gap, a delay there. So on the motion to approve the June 14th minutes as submitted, Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Next, our approval of June 22nd, 22 minutes. And does anybody have any comments or questions or changes to these minutes?
Is that the one where we had this, the stand, the barn, the farm?
The farm stand? That one, yes. It
Yes.
was
Okay.
Continuation.
second one.
If I remember, I don't have the notes in front of me, but I was reading them before. And I think it's, one of them says that Attorney Bellis said that 50% of the retail was for something. I forgot what it was, but it's 50% of
the
the
revenue.
items were grown within the Shelton area.
Yeah, well, the sentence I think you're referring to says Attorney Billis reminded the commissioners that the store has to have 50% of its revenue made on premises. He referenced.
Right, well, that isn't true. It's 50% of growth within the town of Shelton.
And you're basing that on?
On what Attorney Bellis said.
Okay. All right, well then, I think we better check that out. So is there a motion to table?
I'll make the motion to table the minutes of June 22nd.
Okay, and.
I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one that heard that, but I thought that's what it was.
Okay,
Chair, this is Commissioner Laskos. I'm going to abstain. I was absent at that meeting.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Tiki was absent as well.
I believe you're right, Charlie. It had
Okay.
to be 50% of the items that are raised.
Within the
Right?
town of Shelton, the
Yes.
city of Shelton.
Okay. All right, well, we have 2 abstentions, but still on the motion to table. Who made that motion? Is there I don't think anybody did. So does anyone want to make a motion to table the June 22nd minutes?
I did make that motion.
Oh, that was
I'll
you?
second it.
Parkins, okay, Commissioner Kelly. All right, so Commissioners Tiki and Lasko are abstaining. Commissioner Mato?
I to
To abstain,
To-
table.
To table them.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
chair votes aye, so we have a vote of 4-0 to table.
Chair, I'm going to have to leave the meeting. I've got an urgent matter that I have to get to. So I did not read the next minutes anyway, so I would abstain. So
Okay,
if you don't mind excusing me, I
Now you go.
really have to go.
right ahead, so.
All right, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Oh, okay, so, Mr. Renassos, please make sure that you indicate that, Commissioner Parkins had to leave the meeting at 9:25 PM.
Okay.
Okay, and so final item agenda item is approval of the June 29th meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments or changes?
It's okay to me.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't have any-
Chair, I was only at the meeting for an hour, so I'll have to abstain.
Sure. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the June 29th minutes as submitted?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, it's Commissioner Motto. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Kelly seconded. So on the motion to approve, Commissioner Laskos, you're indicating you're abstaining. Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. And Mr. Panico is attorney, is Commissioner Parkins' indication she would vote aye or abstain?
She was gonna abstain.
Yeah,
She-
is that valid, seeing that I hadn't asked for the roll? I hadn't taken the,
You can abstain, certainly.
yeah, but I hadn't asked, I didn't do the roll call before she left, that's all. All right, so the minutes have been approved anyways at a vote of 4-0-2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, seeing that there's no other item on the agenda, the chair declares this evening's meeting is adjourned as of 9:27.
Aye.
Thank you, and we'll see you
Friday.
next Wednesday.
All right.
So soon.
Hybrid, it's a hybrid, remember, we're gonna be in
Yeah.
City Hall and Zoom.
All right.
Okay,
Night, everybody.
good night.
Good
Thank you.
night.